Hello everyone! So today I wanted to do a little bit of a recommendations video. It has been really hot here in the Netherlands the last few days, and so I thought I could make recommendations for sunny days. And for me, books for sunny summery days means either one of two things or both. Either like very cozy, easy, heartwarming reads, or like very chunky, immersive reads. So that's kind of what I have here for you. The first books in this list is actually a series, and it's the Nevermoor series by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade series about this girl who gets swept into this world that she didn't know anything about when she turns 11, and she was supposed to die in her 11th birthday, but it turns out that she goes to this other world, and she tries to find herself and her power and her inner strength, and meets a lot of very cozy characters in the middle. It's kind of like the House of the Cerulean Sea, that kind of vibe as well, but better in my opinion. So yeah, that's the first one I have. The second one is a romance novel, but it's a little bit of an unusual one, I guess, and it's Ali and Nino by Kurban Said, and this is an Azerbaijani book, and so Ali is from I think Iran, and Nino is from Georgia. Georgia is very European centric, and Iran is obviously very Muslim, Middle East based. And in this point in time, it's a historical fiction. In this point in time, Azerbaijan was kind of like the middle ground of all of that dichotomy, and so they are found into this love story which everyone around them approves of, but they find very difficult to join their cultures, and so they go back and forth into this idea of I love you, but I don't know if this is too different and we can work it out. And I found it really interesting because I think it's a little bit of a twist on a love story that is not frowned upon. It's just internally the characters seeing the issues and the barriers and trying to fight that, which I found kind of refreshing. Then the next book I have is again a fantasy, and that's the Devavansh trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. So the first book of this one is The City of Brass, I think, and it's about this girl and this boy that are swept into a lot of politics. The world is based on like Middle Eastern mythology, I think. There are jinns, there are I don't know, all sorts of like metal, sandy settings and things like that. It's very cozy, it's very good, and it's also like very action packed and very like you get invested, but it's also like not your typical fantasy like the Lord of the Rings or whatever. Then the next one I have here is Maran Monamore by Katia Oskamp. This is a very short book, and it's about this woman that her husband is chronically ill, and she's kind of trying to find herself, and she's a writer, but at some point she decides, this is not working, I don't have enough money, and so she decides to take a job as a podologist, kind of. So in a beauty salon she does like foot massages and pedicures and stuff like that, and most of her clients are old, with very like chaos ridden feet, so it's not such a aesthetic thing to go to the podologist, and she works in this salon in this particular part of Berlin, and kind of each chapter is the different story of one of her clients and how they build up like this picture of this part of Berlin. It's kind of cozy in a like some of the stories are brutal and some of the people are not very likable, so it's not completely cozy, but it's kind of like everyday life kind of thing that feels cozy. Then the next one I have is Your Wish is My Command by Deena Mohamed, which is a graphic novel. set in Egypt, and it's also fantasy. And in this graphic novel there are wishes that exist in bottles. There are different like grades of wishes, and so here we have three like first grade wishes, so like the best wishes, which are like at this point very regulated by the government. And so we follow the three people that get those wishes and what they can do to improve their lives. So the first one, for example, is a very hardworking woman that is from a very poor background, and she lost her husband, and then she bought this wish like after years and years of working to try to like deal with her grief. The second wish goes to this boy that is struggling with mental health and depression, and so we follow him in his trip to kind of try to deal with his issues, especially in a society that is not very understanding of mental health and mental health struggles. And then the last one is taken by the shop owner himself, who doesn't really want it, and then we go into a lot of colonialist past of Egypt and a lot of issues with religion and many other things, and it's very deep and it's very amazing. The art is also like very nice, and I feel like a graphic novel for a sunny day, like something that you can read on a day. It's very nice. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I think it would be perfect for a sunny day. Then the next one I have is a non-fiction, and that is An Immense World by Ed Yong. This is about the different senses and like animals that have different senses that sense the world in a different way that what we know, and it's very difficult for us to imagine, but it's like trying to expand our horizon about what senses mean. I chose this non-fiction because it's not too heavy on the science. I mean, of course it's scientific, but it's not, it's written in a very accessible way, and it's a topic that, even though it's interesting and it's open to like opening minds, but it's not something really heavy. So yeah, I think this is very good. I found it a little bit too popular science, but I think that would be good if you're in a mood for something lighter. So I would recommend this. Then the next one I have is The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff, and this is a very cute, darkly cute novel. So it's about this woman in India that everyone in the village thinks that she killed her husband because he disappeared. Everyone knew that she was beaten by him and she was mistreated by him, and one day he disappeared. So everyone assumes that she killed him. And at some point, some of the women in the village come to her looking for advice on how to do the same and getting away with it. And that builds some alliances, unlikely alliances, because this woman is very unpopular in the group of women in this village. So she's used to be alone, but then these women come to her looking for advice, and then that builds alliances, and it's all very quirky and kind of funny, even though people do die. And then in that same vein of dealing with topics that are kind of a little bit darker but in a lighter mood is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. And this is about a woman that she's a chemist in the 60s, and she works in this lab. She's very discriminated against for being a woman, and then she meets these other chemists, and they end up becoming together, and then something happens that completely changes that. And so to like kind of get out of that, because she doesn't have a job anymore and she doesn't have anything anymore, she starts doing this cooking show, and she tries to approach it from a very scientific point of view, and she also empowers women of the 60s to take charge of their own lives. It's very Big Bang Theory like, and it doesn't, it's not something that you should take too seriously, and if you don't, then you probably will enjoy it. It's a very enjoyable read. Then the next one I have is Wind, Sand and Stars by Antoine de Saint Exupery, and this is kind of a memoir of the author about flying and the world in general. He is very eloquent and he's very kind as a person. I mean, you can also see it from The Little Prince that he has a very kind soul, and that translates in this book as well. And yeah, it's very heartwarming. It's also very short. It's, I think, less than 200 pages. So it's always a nice thing to read if you want to feel a little bit warm. And then the last book I have in this list is again another chunker, and it's The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. This is a historical fiction set in New Zealand about the gold diggers in New Zealand, and it kind of builds the tension into kind of a mystery. We follow different characters. They are all very differentiated and they are all very interesting. It's a really big book. It's almost like 1,000 pages. I think I read this in a week. I was that invested. So I would say if you have a chill holiday in the beach, a week in the beach or something, this would be the perfect thing to take with you. I really enjoyed it. It's very immersive, and yeah, it's one that you will just want to keep reading. So perfect for a vacation. So yeah, those are all the books that I would recommend for sunny days and summer, which is coming up. Let me know your recommendations for the summer, and until next video, bye!